And thanks for being here with us tonight. Another discredited figure from the Bush administration is claiming that enhanced interrogation led to the death of Osama bin Laden. Jose Rodriguez was the CIA's chief of counterterrorism from the years 2002 to 2005. Rodriguez says that information provided by KSM and others about bin Laden's courier was the lead information that eventually led to the location of bin Laden's compound. So we can add this guy to the pile of Bushies who were trying to give credit to the former president, even though he stopped trying to catch Osama bin Laden. Former Vice President Dick Cheney has said enhanced interrogations was a factor. Former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld now says that waterboarding was critically important, even though that contradicts some of his past statements. Let's bring in retired CIA officer Glenn Carle and author of the upcoming book, The Interrogator. Mr. Carle, good to have you with us tonight. Are these people wrong when they say that torture did the trick?
Well, I think it's a shameful sequel to a sordid chapter, really, in American history. I had no direct involvement in the interrogation of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, so I can't speak directly to that. But my understanding is that the information that eventually broke the case and let us find Osama bin Laden was obtained a year after any enhanced interrogation techniques were stopped with him and had nothing directly to do with them. So I think the answer for that narrow fact is that the current rewriting of history is wrong, and that, as I understand it, enhanced interrogation techniques did not play a role in that. More broadly, they don't work, putting aside the serious questions of are they right and are they legal.
Well, Mr. Carle, this is Donald Rumsfeld from earlier tonight on Fox telling Bill O'Reilly this about how much information they got from these kind of tactics. Here it is.
People are equating waterboarding with torture, and I think that's a mistake. The President of the United States authorized the waterboarding. It was done to 3 people by the CIA, not by the military, and it produced an enormous amount of very, very valuable intelligence information.
Mr. Carle, from your research, is that comment correct?
No, I think that it's not. It's a little bit like Laurence Olivier playing a dentist to Dustin Hoffman on Marathon Man and drilling a hole through someone's tooth but calmly saying, no pain, no pain. I mean, it simply is wrong. If you define waterboarding not as torture, then you say that, well, it's not torture because I defined it not as torture, then it isn't. But the fact is that it transgresses the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the Convention Against Torture, the Geneva Conventions, Executive Order 12333 for the CIA. It's quite clear.
So do we get unreliable information when these tactics are used?
It's conceivable, theoretically, that you will obtain some accurate information from enhanced interrogation techniques. The problems are multiple, however, once again, putting aside legal and moral issues, which one cannot or must not do. It's hard enough for any interrogator to determine what statements are true and not. It's a hugely labor-intensive, laborious, meticulous process under the best of circumstances. When you involve coerced information or statements made under extreme duress, it becomes exponentially more difficult to identify what's accurate or what isn't in the statements made. So it complicates the problem, makes it far less likely to obtain information that you can identify accurately as useful, even before you get to the problems of should one do it.
Draw on your experience again, Mr. Carle. You're a former CIA officer. What's the best way to get information out of people?
Well, the CIA wasn't in the business of interrogation. We're intelligence officers. I collect intelligence. I convince people, did in my career, to provide secret information to the United States. Those are the skills and the background that I brought and we all brought to the task. I found that as I went through the process of interrogating this individual and actually learning how to do it, or concluding what made sense and what didn't, that the way to do it is the same way, frankly, that one is a good case officer, and that is by developing a rapport. Now, perverse as the rapport will be by definition when you have an interrogator and a detainee, it's a hugely imbalanced relationship. Nonetheless, it's a human relationship. And I concluded as the process went on for me, at the same place that the FBI has been from the beginning. They've been quite consistent, and I think honorably so and correctly so, to state that the way you interrogate someone and obtain information is by establishing a rapport, and you can try to manipulate someone, but you don't put them under extreme physical, mental stress.
So this country, in your opinion, was obviously wrong if and when it waterboarded those who were in captivity. You question the nature of its validity and just how much information we got. What else is in your book coming up that you'd like to preview?
Oh, well, gosh, on the enhanced interrogation technique issue, the agency was very careful to seek guidance, legal and policy, of course, from higher-ups, and then
but did
the
they want to
justification
do it?
became what are now.
Did they want to do it? Did they want to waterboard?
I can't speak for the seventh floor. They were very careful to obtain legal authorization and then to carefully define and establish parameters of what was acceptable or not. There are two levels of enhanced interrogation techniques that were defined, standard and enhanced ones. The standard ones are designed to place psychological stress on the person. The enhanced ones are some physical measures. From the get-go, my involvement refused to have anything to do with any physical measures. I had been trained, however, that psychological measures measures to psychologically dislocate someone were effective. I found, in fact, that really is not the case. What you do is you create someone who's stressed, miserable, and angry, but not necessarily more willing to share information.
Glenn Carle, we look forward to it. Appreciate your time tonight here on the Ed Show. Thank you, sir.